Women shouldn't be talking with any kind of authority in the men's game. It's not my words, thankfully. It's the words of Joey Barton, the former Manchester City midfielder, which he posted all over Twitter, or now called X, whatever you want to call it, cesspit. And then he followed it up with, "Come on, let's be serious. It's a completely different game." This was in response to the coverage of the Premier League games in midweek, which, of course, was hosted by Amazon Prime. Now, I've got to say, I completely disagree. Firstly, as a father with a daughter who is football mad, and secondly, just genuinely as a football fan with these comments. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail. Now, Joey Barton, of course, followed this up with a chat on the Piers Morgan show where he was going on to Piers about how we can't follow the woke agenda. Well, what the bloody hell is a woke agenda? Somebody explain this to me, because personally, a woman commentating on a men's football match is not any part of woke agenda. And I hate that word. I hate that word. I'll explain, firstly. But of course, Joey Barton is making the point that only men should comment on the men's game because it is completely different. That's in his views, not mine. Now, another point he was making is that he's played at the top end of football. And I'm going to cover off, a couple of people that, of course, Joey Barton managed recently Bristol Rovers in League One. Managers like Jose Mourinho, Arsene Wenger, the late Gerard Houllier, they were managers that were never, ever at the top of the professional game. They weren't really top level players, as you would say, but they become top level managers. They become people that everybody listened to, everybody understood what they were saying. Will Still, who of course is the Reims manager in France, he wasn't even a professional footballer at all. You can even go further afield. Nigel Adkins, he did play professional football. He did play in the lower leagues. However, one thing with Nigel Adkins is he went into physiotherapy and then was given his chance by Scunthorpe United. Now, these are people that have all earned their way to become what they are, which is people that you would listen to, people that I'm sure Joey Barton listens to, and people with a great understanding of the game. Now, I want to make, and I've done a bit of research before I did this video. I really wanted to interview Joey Barton because I firstly wanted to listen to his side of the story, listen to what he come out with, which, let's be honest, he's been putting over a pile of garbage all week. So let's be fair. Well, let's be fair to him. Weekend, but there's been quite a lot of the garbage, so it does feel like there's been a week's worth into 3 days. But I've done a bit of research. Now, the research I've done is to try and prove Joey Barton's point. So I've tried to prove Joey Barton's point. I can't. It's not possible. So this is what I've learned. The FA coaching badges are actually the same for men as they are for the women's game. So completely the same. Of course, the concept of the game of football is the same, and the rules are exactly the same, both in the men's Premier League and the women's Super League. So, everything is the same. Also, I want to bring up, because the people that he's been targeting are the likes of Bianca Westwood and Laura Woods, two very, very good pundits and presenters. Now, he seems to have been firing things at them consistently. And I'll also come on to one of his new friends, who is a lady called Hannah Pearl Davis. Pearly Thingz, she goes by on Twitter. Never, ever, ever heard of her, to be honest, in my entire life until this weekend. To be perfectly honest, I don't really want to ever hear about her ever again after what I've read and what I've actually seen. Um, but you look, this weekend's been really successful for the women's game. Okay, it's been talked about a lot by Joey Barton, and it's brought, there's been a few people that have been negative. Let's be fair, there have been people that are negative. Gavin Peacock, unfortunately, is one of those. Very, very disappointed as an AFC Bournemouth fan to actually have read what he's put. But there's also been people that have come out and venomously supported the women's game, like myself. Like myself, her game too was designed for a reason because of equality. I can't even believe that Joey Barton had the audacity to quote her game too when speaking to Piers Morgan after making his comments. I can't believe he's got the audacity. But the women's game between Chelsea and Arsenal at the Emirates, it filled it out. 60,000 people were in that stadium to watch that game. And let's be fair, a lot of Premier League games don't get that. A lot of Championship games don't get that. League Two games don't get anywhere near it. So, full credit to the women's game and every woman out there who is backing the women's game, and of course the men as well, because there is a lot of men like myself. I might be making a video about it here. I might have done the research, but at the same time, everybody deserves, their applause for getting behind the women's game. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to, three names now, and then we'll come back onto Bianca Westwood and we'll go back onto Laura Woods and, what they bring. But the names I want to bring is Jill Scott, Alex Scott, and Karen Kerney. Now, all of them have earned, and all of them have been in punditry positions in one way or another, and they've all achieved over 140 England caps each. Now, we know for a fact that they all achieved a lot more in the game, in football as a game, than Joey Barton did. I'll leave it to the end of the video to actually reveal how many caps Joey Barton won. But those three individually, Jill Scott, Alex Scott, and Karen Kerney all earned over 140 caps each. Each. So that really says it all. But let's go back on to Bianca Westwood and Laura Woods. They're both very, very good pundits. They're both, fantastic at what they do. They explain, and a pundit is there to explain the game. There is male pundits that I like. There's male pundits I don't like. Likewise, there's female pundits that I like, and female pundits that I don't like. But do you know what? And I'm sure it's probably the same. And this is the way we need to ingrain, children in the future to actually look at this. And this isn't just about gender. This is about race, religion, or any other societal label. We need to that we listen to what that person is saying. We watch that player and focus on what they're playing like, not whether or not they're a man or a woman, or any other societal label that you can put. But those factors, let's be fair, shouldn't influence your inclusion or exclusion from any aspect of football, any aspect of sport, or any aspect of everyday life in 2023. It's not 1623, it's 2023, where everybody should be included in what they want to do. Nobody should be excluded, regardless of, whether or not they're a man or a woman. I can understand you can't have multi-sex football games. You can't have that. You can't have multi-sex races, at the Olympics, for example. You can't have that. But a woman should be able to commentate on a man's game, and a man should be able to commentate on a woman's game. And of course, there's been many occasions where men have. To be honest, men still probably, without doing the research, probably have had more influence on the women's game than women have had speaking roles in the men's game at the moment. So, for example, we're still, unfortunately, seeking our first female manager. And personally, I would love this to happen. It did look like it was going to happen at one point. I believe it was AFC Wimbledon that it looked like it potentially could happen with. I wish it did. I wish it did, because I think it would be great. And the games are exactly the same. It doesn't matter if a man directs a team to play 4-4-2 or a woman directs a team to play 4-4-2. It really does not matter. Chloe Kelly, I tell you what, absolutely love Chloe Kelly to bits. Of course, scored the goal in the Euros final. She put it perfectly and made my, this is, to be honest, if you want to listen to anybody, don't listen to me. Listen to somebody like Chloe Kelly, who says football is football. That was her tweet. That was her response. Football is football. Couldn't have said it any more perfect. But Joey Barton has made himself to look an absolute fool. And why has he made himself look an absolute fool? Because, these pundits have got there by merit. They've achieved to get there by merit. If my daughter becomes a football player or a pundit, she'll have achieved it by merit. These people, and I use the word people because it doesn't matter if you're male or female, have achieved their goals by merit. And, with the increase in attendances in the female game, it says it all. It says it all, that people would like to listen to more women in the men's game, and vice versa. It doesn't bother me. Look at the commentary teams as well, because that is really what, Joey Barton is getting at here. Now, he's saying that people who haven't played the game at a high level shouldn't be commentating. Well, hold on a minute. Two of the most successful commentators of the 90s, and beyond, let's be honest, and beyond, was John Motson and Clive Tilsley. Neither of them played one single game of professional football, Joey. Not one single game of professional football. But they're there because they're good commentators. And Bianca Westwood and Laura Woods, they're there because they're good commentators, Joey. And then you've got somebody like Hannah Pearl Davis, Pearly Thingz, going on and coming out and saying, that I'm backing Joey Barton up. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know who this woman is, because she's an American YouTuber, but she sides with Andrew Tate in one of the videos. That basically, says it all. That basically says it all. If you've got somebody who you're siding with, who's siding with Andrew Tate, I'm not going to go into what Andrew Tate has done in this video, or Tristan Tate or anything like that, because let's be fair, you can do your own research about those two. The pair of them are a pair of muppets. You can do your own research, and therefore, Hannah Pearl Davis has decided she's going to also be a Muppet, because she's siding with them and she's siding with and against women. You know, everybody should be inclusive to do what they want in 2023. They should be allowed to play what they want. You know, Joey Barton, for example, put out a post afterwards and he was saying about the lineups of a gig. Now, hold on a minute. Based on this is a bit contradictory because Joey Barton, as far as I know, has never played an instrument in his entire life. He's never been in a band. We know that. Unless he pops up in a band tomorrow, he has got no right to comment because he's never played professionally in a band. He say for example, Serge from Kasabian turns around and says, "Do you know what? This is a good lineup." You can listen to him because at the end of the day, he has been in a band. And likewise, because of course it's quality here that I'm really getting at, because I think it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If Shirley from Garbage turned around and said, "You know what, that's a great lineup," that again, valid points. But that's based on what Joey Barton is trying to say here. This is what based on, Joey Barton saying a woman can't have an opinion on a men's game because they haven't played the men's game, and that people have played the game at a high level. Well, Jose Mourinho didn't, Arsene Wenger didn't, and Gerard Houllier didn't. And they're three of the top managers in global football. And if they weren't given their chance, would Porto have won the Champions League? Probably not. Would Arsene Wenger have taken Arsenal to the Invincibles title? Probably not. Will still, like I say, hasn't even played a professional game. So I don't get what Joey Barton is saying. But at the same time, I feel that Laura Woods, Bianca Westwood, Jill Scott, Alex Scott, whoever else has got every right to comment, say, on a men's game of football. Every right. Like I say, Chloe Kelly put it perfectly. Football is football. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or any other social label that society decides to put on you. I think it's 2023, and the more this game is open for everyone, the better. Pearly Thingz, Hannah Pearl Davis, she can go back to whatever she's doing in America. Let's be honest, she's trying to side with Joey Barton, probably just to get her own public image out there. Um, you know, it's quite pathetic, really. I think that's how she's become famous, because she has stood out there and, been one of these people that shocks the world. And the answer to the question, actually, Joey Barton. So, Joey, sacked by Bristol Rovers, you know, what did you win in your career? Well, you won the championship twice, won the championship playoffs once. Um, Scratching my head around now. Couple of, well, I think player of the month. At one point for young player of the month for so and so. I'm not sure. I'm scratching my head. Whereas, like I said, there's these these three England football players, Jill Scott, Alex Scott, Kerney, have all won a lot more. And of course, Joey, they played 140 games plus each for England. And you played one. You played one. Rest my point. Joey Barton has pretty much killed his chances of getting another management job in football. It would be quite good to actually see. And do you know what? If he wants a career back in football, I think he should go and manage a female team, and they can show him how to be respectful of all, respectful of others' opinions. And he's calling himself the king now. It most definitely isn't that. You know, let's be fair. The three managers that I mentioned, Jose Mourinho, Arsene Wenger, Gerard Houllier, they're probably kings. But Joey, you're most definitely not. You know, come back when you've won a Premier League title. Till the next video, up the cherries. We'll speak to you in the next one.